Aside from the fact that I just love Helen Mirren, and I love working with her.
So, this was a match made in heaven for me, and I love the juxtapositioning of the themes in Fast and Furious.
There is that element of like, hey, we gotta save the world.
I think what makes F9 special is that this character that was a bandit, that was a bandolero, that was an outlaw, is now a father, is a very interesting and engaging concept.
Mia's back. I'm so happy that she's back. Also, we're gonna have a really, really kick-ass female character that just was raised by that. She's kind of like Hannah, you know, that character that's like raised by special forces. So the guy, like, her father teaches her how to like do everything that it would take to protect yourself in a savage world. That's what Anna's character is. I think it's a really, really cool backstory to her. I'm just excited about Nathalie. She's definitely not your typical techie in this one. She has a lot more hands-on action, and I really like her cattiness. Her voice is really, I think, a lot more. It's a lot more dimensional. You get to really get to know. You really get to know Ramsey on this one, and so I'm excited about that. And we're pretty much even keel with females and guys compared to other features that we've done in the past. So just super excited about letting the girls play. It's just fun to watch, and I feel so proud, like a mama or an auntie or something. It's like, yeah.
That's the one characteristic about John, like the fact that he didn't have to be humble, the fact that he didn't have to be, grateful or thankful to be part of this, but it's just who he is, and I think that really added to our collective group, just that kind of energy, where he's coming in, he wants to contribute, but he's also respecting the fact that, we've been here, and that in a way really helped us integrate and challenge each other at the same time.
When I found out I was coming back, I just, I talked to Justin about it, and I was like, I can't wait, like, get me in there. And I also have Vin to thank in a major way, because he definitely wanted to bring the family back together. And it's not that it felt great to be back, it just felt so odd to be gone. It felt like it didn't really make sense, so it's wonderful to be back.
It's a lot of movie, and I read 20 pages at a time because I just needed to breathe for a second, because it was just so much action, so much energy jumping off these pages. It's like when you're reading a good book, you just gotta put it down and just, I need a minute. So yeah, this is gonna be interesting to see how Justin, as a director, was able to implement so much movie.
As I continue to show up and show out in these movies, the crowd and the audience has to see some sort of progression, some sort of growth, something that they did not know about this character. So I couldn't be happier about the growth and about the progress, and you continue to learn more things about him. a lot of people didn't even know he could whoop ass until Furious 7. So, you know, I'm very happy with the way things are going with the character, and I hope that all the fans that love this particular character understand the same thing.
I'm incredibly pleased with Ramsey's growth through these movies, because she started out as someone who was a bit of a loner and kind of terrified of everything this group does. She's like a tech girl who is used to probably being in a room somewhere hacking away. She's not jumping from cars and doing crazy, you know, action driving. And so to see her confidence grow and to see her, you know, prove herself to be a really instrumental part of this group is just so cool and really exciting. And yeah, I've had such a blast being a badass in this movie in a new way. She's always a badass, but in a new way.
I think what's kept the franchise not only on its feet, but at the forefront of what fans want to see is the narrative about family. And I'm really hoping for that, because I'm actually, I get the honor of bearing the Toretto name. So this is a huge development in the overall structure, because Dom has always defined his family as those he holds closest, not necessarily those who share his last name. But in this installment, you actually learn of another Toretto, Jakob, Dom's brother. So it's really exciting, and I think once you introduce a possible brother, meanwhile, as Dom is facing fatherhood, so really is a strong weave of family in all the narratives. And I know fans flock to the theater to see the action. I think they stay and return to see the story, and the story is about family.
You know, it tells you the power of the audience, because, you know, after, you know, Han was no longer the franchise, you know, there's this fervor, there was this need, and I think people really missed that character. And then, you know, when we went to, you know, Fast 8, you know, that brought up a lot of questions from the fans. You know, why is Shaw now part of the family when, you know, he was responsible for the death of Han? So, you know, these are the things I think as an actor, as a fan, you know, it's pretty exciting to see that, you know, this is truly like the people's movie. You know, they, you know, in a way demanded for this character to come back, and thus I'm sitting here again, being able to play Han again.
I love driving cars in movies, and I always try to do my own driving if I can in a movie. And because I love it, I love the process. You know, it's very fun because very often the roads are being closed for you. So you know, this was a match made in heaven for me, and I love the juxtapositioning of the themes in Fast and Furious. It's sort of, you know, this wonderful mad ride that the audience go on, but it's always underpinned with real emotion, with stories of family. So you know, I thought I'd enjoyed the franchise, and I was very desirous to be a part of it.
Well, my management said that Vin Diesel reached out and he was talking about a role that on the next Fast and Furious will become a bigger role. And I'm like, why not? You know, I was a little over doing short appearances in films, but I'm like, it's freaking Fast and Furious. So I was like, get me there, put me on a plane.
You know, for me personally, I loved action movies as a kid, and I loved big commercial films, and it was so frustrating to not see myself reflected on screen. And so it has been such an incredible honor to have the opportunity to be able to be part of something where we have this chance to push the envelope and put more representations of real people that look like us, that have never been seen before on screen, on camera. It's for me one of the things I love the most about this franchise.
We tried to take themes in this saga that are important to us and we feel are important to the world, and explore those themes. And that was really the objective, to continue from Fate of the Furious into this next chapter. And in this next chapter, although the overall theme is fatherhood, there are many interesting aspects of this storyline that are going to surprise the audience and unravel more of the identity of the characters that they feel they already know or they feel so familiar with.
There's a real reason why Mia had to be back, because Jacob, not only is he Dom's brother, but he's also Mia's brother. And so for her to be back, I'm personally, I'm really proud of her to see her growth. And you know, and I told her that, you know, when I told her she was coming back on this one, that I was going to really push her, not only emotionally, but also I was going to be throwing her into some, you know, action sequences that we'd never seen her do.
Our family's always been a mystery, where we came from, who our father is. And so to have those pieces filled in is also really interesting to me as an actor, because it's like, oh, okay, that's where Dom's coming from. That's what the history is, and then you understand all the more what the importance is of their makeshift family that they've brought together. But yeah, adding the Jacob element is interesting, because now we get to explore that, because most of this movie, you know, they're all fighting each other and trying to reconcile their past, and once that's done, it's like, okay, well, where do we go from here? Which because they're two really strong forces, so what do we do with that? That'll be interesting.
When I tell you, on the day that Anna and Jordana and Michelle and I were all on set for the first time together, I was like, this is amazing, because, you know, like, there's not been that many of us, like, at one time. There's obviously so many brilliant female characters throughout the course of the franchise, but to have like 4 kind of badass women just like together, oh yeah, it's so exciting. And, you know, everybody brings their own really important component, and it's just really exciting to see that rise of a female voice within the series. It's just, you know, really exciting, but also really necessary.
It's gonna separate Fast 9 from all the previous films. I feel like just when you thought we could not surprise you more, we're gonna do it all over again. I continue myself to be amazed at how we find things that we didn't even know about these characters, about their families, about the plots and the twists, and so many things that you thought were one way and they turn out to be completely opposite. So I think when people see Fast 9, they're just gonna realize once again we have 100% reinvented ourselves, and that's what we seem to do each and every time.
That's what's so fun about the evolution of the character, because it's something that we all can identify with. When we have children, the stakes are higher. When we have children, we have to care about the planet and the world and humanity in some way or another. And they see that everything he does, he has to consider the true source of his vulnerability, which is his child. That's the same in the wild. A lion is vulnerable because of its cub, and that's who Dom is.
I think she's incredibly surprised at how fatherhood has changed Dom. But also I think that there's a part of her that loved the old version of him. And although it's a natural instinct to be more protective and secular when you have a family that needs tender, loving care, like a baby, there is that element of like, hey, we gotta save the world. Like, what world is this kid gonna live in if you don't have, you know, people out there fighting for it?
What I enjoy about, you know, making Fast and Furious films is not really just the, you know, action. I think that's what people expect and it's fun, but I think the gem for me are the moments where, you know, you see, you know, Dom, you know, talking to little Brian, or Mia talking to Letty. You know, these moments to me is the heart and soul of our franchise. I think that, you know, action sequences are meaningless unless there is a connection, emotional connection we have with the characters who are in these sequences.
I was really nervous, you know what I'm saying? I was really nervous. You know, Vin Diesel, he always plays like this very serious guy in films. So it's just like, oh, I'm scared. But he's just so nice, so dope. He makes you feel so comfortable. And that's pretty cool. I like that.
And the other thing I love about this journey is I get to work with Michelle, which I hadn't really. I was always in scenes with Michelle. We were, you know, we've always promoted things together, but we never really got to interact. And I adore her, and I adore how much she's grown over the last 20 years, how she keeps on evolving and changing, and she's so curious. So to be able to get to work with her, and she knows her stuff. Like, there's certain things, been in this business for so long, but I still take for granted, whereas she's like, okay, that lighting and that and this. Like, she's great to work with. I love her.
That's my Phil Jackson. That's my sensei. That's my Mr. Miyagi. That's the Holy Grail. He's the heartbeat of this franchise. No one knows these characters. No one knows the world better than Justin Lin.
I'm a huge fan, and it shows the staying power. So it wasn't like I had to I got to go back and do my research to find out what this is about. I was one of the young people captivated by the first installment, and I've watched ever since. So it was easy to kind of fall in line. I remember meeting certain members on the cast, meeting all the members of the cast for the first time, and being like, whoa, that's Ramsey, or that's Letty, or that's Dom. Like, starstruck, because and knowing them as their characters, which is coming from a WWE standpoint. Sometimes I'll call the superstars by their real names, and a lot of times I'll refer to them by their characters because they're so convincing as their characters. And this crew has been together for 2 decades now, so you can't help, as an outsider being invited in for the first time, to be like, that's Mia, or Tej and Roman. Like, it's just who they were to me before I was able to introduce myself and have conversation.
When I make Fast and Furious, there's not a moment that goes by that I don't think about my brother Pablo, and the need for me to find a quiet place so I can have a hope of hearing his influence or hearing his advice, like I have grown accustomed to do over the last 2 decades. So when John Cena walked into my Dom shrine, I said to him, to play a Toretto, you're gonna have to be prepared to go to some dark places. And I believed him when he said, whatever it takes. And that day I posted on my Instagram, thank you, Pablo.
I mean, when I sit back and I think about, like, how are we ever, if we do another one, gonna top that? Just as far as action goes, I mean, the things that happen in this film are just like, okay, wait a minute, this is a game changer for sure. Yeah, that's never been, nobody's ever seen that before, ever.
It's so rare in this, and I think in any career, to be able to have shared journeys with people that you started with. I think back to when we were first starting our careers. Both of us, we didn't have any money. you know, we really, you know, didn't come from a family that was established in Hollywood. We just had this, you know, common dream of being storytellers. So, you know, knowing that Justin's going to come back and, you know, and guide, you know, the ship to, you know, the story that I think the audience will be very pleased with. You know, it's just one of those things that you at first you take for granted, and then you realize how rare it is. And you know, I just feel very lucky that I get to, you know, share another movie with a friend. And you know, those little things really, you know, start impacting me as I get older. So it's great to be here with a buddy.
I love John Cena. I used to watch wrestling quite a bit. Yeah, I was so excited when I found out John Cena was gonna be in these films. I mean, yeah, I've like the nostalgia of him in WWE is very real in my heart. And yeah, and I've obviously seen him in other movies, and he's so great, and he just really embodies everything that these films are about, you know, and he's such a good guy as well. He's just like really lovely, and it's been a real pleasure to like meet and work with him. And if you follow him on Twitter, he's really wise, and I've decided that he should be my life coach just generally in life. So there's that.
It's actually been very poetic because in trying to do justice for Han, one of the most beloved characters in this franchise actually, you know, is alive. So again, I've never done it that way creatively, but I have to say I give, you know, the fans a lot of credit. I think being away and having that perspective and seeing the love for Han and seeing that they have a voice and that somehow it was put into this creative process, and now that he's back, like he's back on screen, but you're gonna find out why. I think that's it's a collective. That's for the first time in my career. It was a collective process creatively.
It's exciting to see Mia get out and get behind the wheel, to be fighting, to be involved in the action, to be a real formidable force. Jordana Brewster is so incredible, and she is such the heartbeat of this franchise. And I think because Michelle and Jordana were in the first one, the legacy they bring and what they bring to the fast fan audience, you know, is so important and so valuable. Yeah, so to see them get out together is wonderful. To see them get out together and run their own mission with no man around is really interesting and exciting, and that sequence is incredible. I think people are going to be blown away.
What surprised me most when I read the script of Fast 9, obviously the fact that Dom had a brother that none of us knew about. I mean, it's crazy enough that we've been living vicariously through the strength, power, and confidence of Dom Toretto himself, and now there's another Toretto out here that we don't even know about, besides Mia, of course. And this particular Toretto has the same skill sets, power, strength, and confidence, if not more, than our beloved Dom, but he's using his powers for evil.
The psychology of each fight is different, therefore the performance should be different. I remember speaking with Vin in depth about like, well, what can we do? And the thought process I have about performances like that and their meaning. Brothers fight different. I have 4 siblings, they're all boys, and we kick the crap out of each other. And I've won fights, I've lost fights, because we're all very close in age. Brothers will fight dirty, they will, but it's accepted because it's your brother. So although the fight between Dom and Jakob is truly spectacular, and the fight with Sue is much more close quarter just because of the setting, the psychology essentially as you approach the fight should change. What is the story we're trying to tell? Jakob is fighting for his life on the roof of a moving vehicle, or Jakob is finally standing up to his brother in the one fight he thinks he can win.
I love Han, and you know what? At the end of the day, for somebody who's been brought back from the dead, I can say nothing but yes. You know, it does raise that eyebrow of like, how close are we to a sci-fi film where you have more than one character that had died, and now all of a sudden you realize that they weren't dead. How many times could you pull that off in a franchise and not lose your credibility? But then again, I'm like, have you seen our movies? the kind of ways that we defy physics and facts. Yeah, let's just say, you know, I think that we're not hiding the fact that a lot of the stuff is crazy. But I think that a lot of people are going to be happy.
We needed somebody who we believed could take Dom down. So that's somebody of a similar physical size, a similar physical build, intelligent, and somebody who really brings their own persona to screen. And so I think because John has such a long background in wrestling and audiences know him, and he brings to sort of a bit of that to everything that he does, it made sense that he could play opposite Vin.
For anyone to make you believe that black people aren't friends with white people aren't friends with Asians, Asians aren't friends with Latinos, Latinos aren't friends with Muslims or Arabs. I don't really know what world you live in, but it's not the world that we represent. Long before it was cool to be diverse in Hollywood, there was the Fast and the Furious.
I really love working with Chris. He's such a sweet and kind individual, really, really funny, and we have a great time working together. But this film, he's been really interested in what my vegan option is at lunch, and he's been eating all my vegan food. And so for a minute there, I was like, okay, dude, we're friends, but like, don't come for my snacks, because, you know, they're very important to me.
I think she's conceited and she's very confident. You know, there's a difference between conceited and confident, but I think she's really both. And I guess she's very competitive, and she's just that bitch. That's what I could say about her. She's really that bitch. Lisa's really that bitch.
It wasn't like walking into a job. It was like coming to a family reunion. And everybody got a little better and a lot more mature. They're more comfortable in their skin. So I think people are going to see that in the film. And the camera doesn't lie. So, you know, when people ask me, is that friendship for real? I can say, you know, when I walked on that set, after I went home that day, I said, yeah, this is a real friendship. You know, these are real relationships that I know are sincere.
A beat of the scene that I really enjoyed between Letty and Mia was when I call her on her stuff, because it's always Letty calling everyone else on their stuff and being the truth teller. And in this, we kind of just got to explore what our relationship was, how we feel about where we are in our lives, why we're doing what we're doing, which you barely get to see. Mostly it's like action, 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 and then like, you know, the regular boy-girl love relationship, and not just friendships. But our friendship has lasted so long, and you have to, and the other thing I wanted to explore was, yes, I'm loyal to my brother, but I'm also really loyal to you because you're my girl and I'd do anything for you. So it's really fun to be able to bring that dynamic to life.
Chemistry is a very strange thing, isn't it? He's someone that I dearly love and respect and feel comfortable with, and I think maybe it is because we're very different from each other, you know, not just in age, or, you know, I'm British and he's American, so we're really very, very different from each other, but There is some sort of strange connection there. Vin has showed himself to be such a sort of gentle and loyal friend. He really is, and I'm very, very lucky to have him a little bit in my life.
I wanted to make sure that, you know, what we were leading to, the brother fight between Dom and Jacob, that it was going to be able to do a sibling fight justice, you know. And so to start off, I didn't want it just to be two brothers looking at each other and fighting. So I just kept, you know, pushing and pushing, seeing what we can do. And the fight actually doesn't start as a fight. It starts as a chase. And so the chase, you know, I was hoping, you know, that the idea was to make it so that the audience can really kind of feel this kind of no holds barred, you know. And it leads to a point where Dom actually jumps from a roof, tackles Jacob into a window, breaks the table, and that's when the fight starts. So by the time it starts, the intensity is already, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10 is already at a 25.
I believe that when somebody is a part of this franchise, they're always a part of this franchise. And so it's very important for me to find ways and opportunities to revisit their characters and to allow their characters to play in the greater mythology. Aside from the fact that I just love Helen Mirren and I love working with her, and I feel very blessed and honored that I have the opportunity to work with her. And I did get my act together and I did put her in the movie. And I kept putting her, I will continue to put her in the movie because I just love her so much.
Ramsey doesn't know how to drive. Nathalie knows how to drive. Not really. No, I don't. I do know how to drive, I just don't have a license. But yeah, so Ramsey and I have that in common. Yeah, it's very funny because Ramsey's kind of put in a situation where she's the only one who's available to drive and this vehicle, and she kind of has to admit that she doesn't drive or can't drive, because her job is not to drive. She's not the fast car driving action driver. No, like, not at all. She is working very hard within her computer, within her gadgets, trying to oversee everything and hack into surveillance and mainframes and all this stuff. And so her job within this group is not to drive, and then she's kind of forced into a situation where she has to drive not just like a little car, it's like a huge truck. And she, you know, there's some sort of growing pains at the beginning, and then she kind of finds her groove and again gets to prove her place within this group. And it's been really fun and exciting and made me think like, okay, it's time to go and get your driver's license now. I said that on like the first movie actually, so it's been about 6 years where I've been saying that, so now it's actually time.
It's one thing to read it. It's another thing to see it, talk with it, look at it, experience it. That's when it becomes more real for me. And that's what happened after I met John. I was like, holy shit. He really can. He's gonna be able to make the world believe that he's actually a Toretto. Same complexion, same kind of aggressive energy, and just seeing him and Vin on set for the first day of filming, eye to eye, you know, was crazy, and kind of made me want to step in and, hey, Break it up!
I hadn't seen Bow Wow or Lucas since actually Tokyo Drift. Jason Tobin, who plays Earl, was in Better Luck Tomorrow, and you know, we're old friends, and he actually ended up moving to Hong Kong, so you know, I haven't seen him in a few years either. But you know, how special is that? It's like it made me realize that day when I saw them on set that, you know, this world, this Fast and Furious world, is huge. It's expanding, and there are characters from, you know, the previous films that we can bring back that offer something unique to the whole group. And I know the fans are going to be excited to see them because it's you know, it's just what a great introduction, a great reunion again. So and I hope they bring back more characters. I think that's what the fans want.
This says it all. She's in a diamond store and she ain't buying. Let's put it that way. Queenie doesn't pay retail for anything.
Justin is just tireless. He's relentless in his pursuit of making great work. He works all of the time, and he shows up all of the time, even when he's not feeling well, present and excited and engaged, and constantly trying to push the envelope. He's incredibly collaborative and works with everybody to find the best ideas, the right ideas to help build this and to help take it to the next level. And I think because he stepped out of the franchise for a couple of years, he brings in a fresh perspective that's really needed at this moment. When we think about, or when we were thinking about why Fast 9 and why now, Justin's return was a huge part of that decision.
I think Justin makes all the difference because I think Justin cares so much about story. He cares so much about character. I mean, he makes references from like 4, and sometimes I'm like, huh? But then I have to like look back and check like, what was he talking about? But I think the continuity of character, the evolution of the family, that matters so much to him, and so it has heart, and I think that's what the audience loves. I think when someone recognizes me or recognizes anyone else from the cast and they go, Mia, like it's like we're all connected. It's like we're all family because we have this history together. So this movie is imbued with that history, but it also like goes, you know, it has so many elements. It goes where no one else has really gone before. So, but it's still a super grounded action movie with family at the very core, which I think Justin does beautifully.
Man, Tej is always gonna push Roman's button just because he gets a kick out of it. I'm glad that the fans say that they love, you know, the chemistry between me and Roman, because we're kind of like the comedic relief in the movie, and we always have a lot of jokes, and we are able to kind of go off script every now and then and really give people, you know, an element of urban culture and just an element of laughs that we have completely off the top of our heads come up with at the last minute, and a lot of those takes are the ones that are used in the movie. And I think that's why people identify with our chemistry and laugh so much with us. So we appreciate it.
It does feel great because I remember when I saw LUDACRIS in Fast and Furious, I was so happy and excited because I grew up listening to LUDACRIS. And then I remember when the whole reggaeton movement started when I was like 10 years old. I was practically like 10 years old. And when I saw Tego Calderon in the movie and the music, I was just like, oh my God, I know him, I love him. And then to see Don Omar, it was just like a I don't know, like it just was like a hype in the you know, Latin community. Everybody was pretty happy and felt like a hopesome. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to describe it because reggaeton is a big genre, but it's almost like kind of shunned because it's, you know, you know how it is. It's gangster, it's slutty. So when you see those artists from that genre in these big movies, it's just like it makes the hood have hope.
Getting a job to be able to tell a story to a global franchise where the focus is cars, that is something special for me. It's really cool to be surrounded by elements of automotive culture every single day. Every piece of this movie is interwoven with modifications and concepts and current production models you haven't seen yet. It really also still keeps its roots to the car culture, to the cartoon culture, and to people clamoring for what's next in the car world. I think it's really special in that regard.
I think that if we were gonna bring and share with the audience, the past, the scope of it, the emotions and the relationships and the development of our characters, it was. I feel like the best way in was to kind of play with this theme and explore this theme of the fact that at some point we all had to deal with our past in order to define our future.
Justin's cool, man. He's got a lot that I think he's got a lot of skin in the game. 'Cause he's the one who was directing the franchise movie that took it to the next level. I mean, Fast 5 was the defining factor for, it was the line being pushed on what the franchise movies were going to be about in the future. And so being a part of that, then being away from the franchise for as long as he had been, for like 2 movies, I think he's coming back with some gusto. And lots of love, for the characters that he created in 3, and with knowledge of the franchise and love for the franchise. So, and you can tell he's really not holding back when it comes to the action. It's on steroids. So yeah, I'm happy it's in the hands of somebody who cares.
I feel so excited for the world to see the 9th chapter in the World Saga. And I truly, 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 truly mean it when I say we hope to make you proud.